Lovely.
Recording in progress.
Thank you. Thanks. Welcome to Pilates. Monday morning. Let's start the week as we mean to go on with a bit of movement and a bit of stretching. And so, feet in parallel. I'm going to step back a bit. Oh, actually, I'll step to the side so you can see my feet. Feet, knees soft. Tuck your pelvis under a little bit. Think about lovely pelvic floor today. So pop your hands on your belly. So thumbs are touching, fingers touching, and just rock and roll. Just come into that lovely anterior and posterior tilt of the pelvis. And just add that squeeze on through the pelvis and breathe. Oh, excuse me. Ignore me if I cough and sneeze and go, ouch, my ribs are a bit achy for some reason. I don't know why. So it's good to move, isn't it? Okay, so that's a little anterior posterior. Pop your hands on your hips and let's come into a hip hitch. So lifting, lifting, one at a time, and kind of straight legs. And what we're trying to do is shorten the distance between the ribs and the hip. Let's stay on one side so we get some real focus. So lift and squeeze, drop down to neutral, lift and squeeze, and neutral. Try and keep your shoulders fairly still and level. And just breathe. And hopefully this isn't too much for you. And let's come to the other side. So nice and gentle today. Lift and squeeze, lift and squeeze. And we've got bands today as well, so we'll add those in shortly. Let's do a couple more. Okay, and then we're going to circle through those hips. So soften the knees and take the hips forwards, all the way out, all the way to the back. Actually, you can start small to start with. Let's start small. So just tiny little circles. And feel the weight transferring from one foot to the other, almost, and the weight goes to the outside edges of your feet, to the fronts of your toes, to the outside edges, and to the heels here. So really notice your feet, notice that transfer of weight through the feet. Spread your toes out, relax your shoulders, and just go with it. Okay, let's change direction. Take some long breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. Softening. Okay, we're going to go in the other direction, but I want you to make it bigger now. So I want you to go all the way to the front, right to the side. So really pushing the hip out, sticking the bottom out behind you and forward. So it's like, I don't know what it's like. Thank you. So a big movement through the hips, lower back, fronts of the hips. Nice and slowly bend forwards and almost coming backwards a little bit. And let's reverse again. So you should feel that into the outside edges of the hips, into the sockets. You might not feel it in the lower back, but and the pelvis. And let's reverse direction. Fabulous. Lovely. And then let's bend through one knee, hinge from the hips, bend through the other knee. So into an exaggerated walk. So one knee bends, the other knee bends. That's it, sticking your bottom out a bit and just hinging and lowering. Eye gaze goes with you. That's it. Warming up through the legs, but in a gentle way. Fabulous. Okay. And come up to standing. Just shake those feet off. Let's come into some shoulder rolls. So start with a shoulder lift, just a raise and lower. Soften the knees. Lift those shoulders. Gently lower. Try and get the arms behind you, the elbows settle behind you. And that just really opens out the chest, tuck the bottom under, and then we'll come into a shoulder roll. So slightly forwards, all the way up, back and down. Arms are behind you. Up, back and down. Lovely, nice and gentle, nice and slow. Slowly, any crunches should hopefully go away in a second. Fabulous. And then let's just take one arm up and down. So just to the side, swap sides. So up, so just working through the shoulder now, one at a time. So not putting too much pressure on your body, just taking it up and lowering down, working through those muscles that stretch through the side seam. And then start to just add a little lean, hand goes down the thigh. So you need to slow it down. Arm up and slide down, soften through the knees. Lovely. Take your time. Take your time. Lovely. Okay, let's take both hands up in a circle and then bring them back out. Soften the knees. Big breath. And one more. And then we're going to come into Crescent Moon. So we're going to take the feet, if you can, cross the feet. You don't have to. And we're going to take the arms up, clasp, and then come into a little side bend, push the hips out. If you're unsteady, take those feet out nice and wide, don't worry, or have something close by you. Now really try and pull this armpit backwards. So you're in a lovely line. Everything's over the feet, kind of, if you know what I mean. And then keep breathing, come to center, drop the arms, roll the shoulders, uncurl, uncross those feet. Breathe, take the other foot over. Okay, steady yourself. And then we take the arms up again. Clasp the hands, take that bend. Arms should be touching you, or almost touching the ears, so they're backwards. That's what I'm trying to say to you. And then allow the hip to just push out a little bit, get a bigger stretch, soften the knees, breathe, and come back up. Hands come down. Let's work through the legs and hips. So soften the knees again, have something to hold on to if you need to. We're going to come into figure of 8. So spread the toes out with the supporting leg, supporting foot even, and we're going to send that knee into a figure of 8. Oh, lovely, Jane. Grab a roller if you need to hold on to it, or a pole, stick, or the wall. I'm rubbish at balancing. Lovely. So figure of 8, turning the knee out and turning it in. So start small, just in front of you here. And we're working on balance, leg strength. So single leg strength, balance, proprioception, coordination. And if it helps to start with, you could just trace your foot on the floor. Use your arms to support you. Now, kills your hip. Or is it just me? And then we're going to make it bigger. So a big movement. Then you use your arms or some support to help you. Tap your foot down if you need to. Use your arms, do what you need to do to hold your balance. And then we're going to step out wide. Give your hip a rub. Are you okay? Can you feel that? Is it just me? So it's kind of, it's your body, isn't it, telling you to stop when you're a bit sore. Okay, but we need to just work through some of it to make sure that we really get these joints, muscles working and strong. Other side, so I'm going to spread the toes out on my supporting foot. I'm going to start small, trace an 8 on the floor. Breathe. We need to get oxygen to our muscles, so breathe. And we've got dog Pilates now too. How exciting. So little figure of 8. And then work with it. Make it in front of you. And just really try to get your balance. Try to bring that hip in, because you'll get tired and it starts to stick out and you sink into the hip. You can stop if you need to and just reset, and then we're going to make it bigger. So bigger movement. Use your arms as a counterbalance. Fabulous. Oop. And then rest it out. Oh, wiggle jiggle where you need to. Okay. Ooh. So let's just come into our squat, and then we'll just add some bands in a minute. But I just want to get you starting to move these hips a bit more. So stepping wide, sticking your bottom out, toes turn up and out as you transfer weight side to side. Lovely. And then can you go a bit lower? You might not be able to, and that's fine. If you want to touch the floor, touch the ankle, that's fine. Trying to keep that back nice and long, not rounded. So really protecting your back by keeping it in a neutral position. Especially as we get older, sometimes we start to develop osteoporosis, but the precursor to that is osteopenia, and we don't know we've got it unless something happens and it gets picked up, so, or you have pain. So really looking after the back, the spine health is so important. So stretching through the hips, weight through the whole of the foot, sticking the bottom out, weight through the hands if you can as well. Excuse me. Can you hold it to one side and just take a little turn? So holding on to the outside edge of your ankle. Sticking your bottom out a bit more and up. And then walking your hands to the other side. Holding to the outside edge. Lovely. And then to the centre, straighten off the legs, drop the head. Wiggle jiggle. Just feel that lovely stretch into the back of the pelvis, the back of the hips, maybe into the hamstrings. And turn your toes in. Turn your toes in so that your feet are parallel. How does that feel? You might feel a bigger stretch into the hamstrings. And then turn the toes out. Just wiggle your bum side to side, and you get an even bigger stretch into the backs of the legs, the backs of the hamstrings, the back of the hip. Okay, we're going to roll up slowly, pump your feet at the top, grab your bands. Excuse me a minute, croaky. We're going to pop the band under your feet. Both feet cross the band. Okay. Is Annie there still? Has she gone? Annie? No, has she gone? Right, we're going to start by putting the weight through one leg. So feet, I'm going to walk my feet out so they're under my hips. I'm going to take the weight to one side. I'm just going to tap my foot out, tap it in. Now when you're trying to tap it in, don't let that band ping it in. You need to resist that pull. So you're just tapping back to that starting position. You're not letting it come right into the other foot, okay? So tension and pressure. If that's too easy, bring the band up a bit. So onto your hips. Lovely. Can you lift that leg? Oh, and squeeze it out. Little squeeze. So make sure the weight is onto that supporting leg, that the toes are spread out, and you've got a lovely posture. Pelvis is tucked under. So slowly and controlled. And reset if you need to. Lovely. Can you take that leg back now? Can you squeeze it back? And tap down. Squeeze it back. Hips are facing forwards. So you're gripping and grasping. Grasping, gripping the band with all of your fingers. So good for grip strength as well. Your shoulders are relaxed. And you're breathing. Okay, let's swap sides. So reset your feet. Take the weight onto the other foot. And we're just going to start by tapping out. Tap and in. Tap and in. Thanks. Tap and in. So the weight of my body is staying on one leg. Okay, my body weight isn't shifting at the moment. All the weight is through one leg. And I'm just tapping out. So using the hip strength, working the muscles that support the hip, that wrap around the hip. And then we're going to add that lovely lift. So a little lift and tap. Lift. And it doesn't look a big move, does it? But actually, that's quite strong with the resistance through the band. Out, tap in. And then we're going to go backwards. So squeeze the leg backwards and back in. Keeping the wobbly, keeping the hips facing forwards if you can. Squeezing, tapping, squeezing, tapping. You can tap on the floor if you need to. And then we're going to go for a little walk. So rest out, wiggle jiggle your hips. We're going to go for a walk to the side. So we're going to step out together, out together. We used to have a lovely song in Body Vibe and it was really funky. And it takes away from the discomfort that you might feel shortly. So really pull the hands up to the hips so you get some lovely resistance. So step together, step together, step together. And again, can you make it bigger? Slower. Bigger, but slower. Especially that second foot as it comes in, because it'll want to ping back in and go back again. Back, out, lovely. So just working the hips here. And let's go again. Lovely. Great, and back to the centre. And we're going to do a little box step. So have a little rest if you need to. Change the band if you need to hold it lower down. And then let's come into a box. So we're going to go out and forwards, step back and in, back and in. So out, out, back, back, out. So you're like making a V shape, so a V step. Out, out, in, out, out. Let's do two more. Relax your shoulders, pull them back. Okay, we're going to come on to the other side. So exactly the same movement, lead with the other leg. So try and get those toes to maybe turn out a little bit, because what happens is the band will try to pull them in. And you need to resist against that pull and make sure the toes land outwards. Lovely. Two more. Oops, it's pinged. And last one. Good. And then take that band off your feet. Let's come to the arms. So a little bit of a small squat coming up. So we'll start by squatting and then we'll add in the arms. So feet out, toes out, and just come into that squat position. So just a small squat, stick your bottom out and push, squeeze the bottom to rise. So you should be sticking your bottom out. The weight should be into your feet, not into the toes. So you should be able to lift the toes up when you're in that squat position. Eye gaze is forward and it just drops down. So slowly. Lovely. or a knee bend. Knee bend sounds much nicer than a squat. Okay, can you take your arms up and bring them back down? So as we squat, lift them, add some tension through the band, so you're squeezing that band out. Now that will stop your squat technique, because what happens is it alters the position of your spine. So only go as low as you can, keeping the position. So what happens is if I go too far, I end up sticking my bottom out, and we don't want that. We want to keep that lovely technique. Keep breathing. Squeeze the thighs and the bottom as you come up. Push the knees out. That's it. So if your knees are not, if your feet aren't close out far enough, what happens is your knees go out way above, way outside of your feet. So that's it, and rest. Oh, are you warm? Let's just come into a little shoulder movement, which we can't do while we're on the floor. Yeah, grab a drink if you need to. So we're going to take our bands behind us. Some lovely shoulder work. So just about either side of your hip bones. Relax your shoulders down. And just really work them so that they are down behind you. And then if you've got sore shoulders, just gently. And we're just going to take those hands out a little bit and relax them in. Now, if it's too uncomfortable, you can do it without the band, but actually, even just a tiny little squeeze on is good. So really focus on belly tucked in, bottom under. Breathe. Relax your shoulders back and down. Squeeze the shoulder blades together and try and keep the wrists nice and straight and still. So you're just working through the shoulders. Lovely, keep it going. Excellent. And again. Fabulous. Okay, hold your hands behind you, and I want you to anchor one arm right behind you and keep it still. Can you lift the other one? Take the other one out and draw it back in, and then swap sides. Anchor. Anchor. So really focus on keeping that other hand still. And just using the strength through, this is pure shoulder strength here. Using your deltoids and then that's enough. Roll through the shoulders. Lovely. We're just going to do one other thing while we're standing, because it's so important. And I can't remember if I've done it. Have I done it with you? Single leg balance? I think I have. I'm trying to do it with everybody. So we're just going to balance on one foot. And I want you to count how long you can balance on one foot and clock which foot you're on. So toes spread out, knee soft, lovely posture, bottom tucked under, shoulders relaxed, breathe. And you're just lifting the toe off the floor. Try and focus on a point in the room that doesn't move. And you might feel your ankle wiggling. Your knee, push the weight through your big toe and your second toe. If you wobble, that's okay. Try and correct yourself, but if you can't, then you step out wide. Oh. And everybody should be practicing this at home every day. Step out wide. Good. I didn't count because I was talking. Lovely. So really, honestly, do count it. Other side. So toes spread, weight through the big toe, second toe. Posture, pelvis, relax the shoulders. And then when you're ready, focus on one spot. You might only get to a couple of seconds, and that's fine, but keep practicing so that you see some progression. Much more. I'm rubbish this side. Maybe it's because I took my foot back. So think about what you're doing with your body. Are your feet in the same position? Are you using your arms a bit more to balance? ready, step out. Fabulous, well done. Oh, grab a drink. We're going to come down, make our way down onto the floor, but we're going to roll down, so don't get straight down. We're going to take our time. Okie dokie. So, keep your band close by you and let's come down into your roll down. So feet in parallel, you know what to do here, but let's just talk you through it. Soften the knees, soften the shoulders, chin to chest, and then let the chin drop away from the chest. Hands are heavy. And relax. Just let those hands come down towards the floor. Now you might be warm enough that they go straight down, but if not, take your time. Just go halfway and then pull yourself back up. Roll the shoulders at the top. Let's take the arms up. Bend the knees and come into a back bend. So hands, eye gaze overhead. Brace the belly and then bring the hands down. Breathe. Fold. Relax the hands. There's no tension in the hands. Roll down. Stay there if you want to for a little stretch. And then pull. Use the muscles in the belly to pull you up. The last thing that comes up is the head. Soften the knees. Hands go over into that back bend. Back extension. Breathe. And then down. Let's go one more time. Just stretching out the whole body. Last time. Up, 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 knees bend. And then we're going to roll right the way down. So hands come down, hands stay there. And then you're going to bend one knee. And then the other. So straighten one knee, bend the other. Into a little walk, a little hamstring stretch. Can you walk your hands closer towards your feet? Or can you grasp behind your ankles? Lovely. And then we're going to bend the knees, hands come down, walk out, and sit back in child's pose. Just have a stretch, a rest in child's pose. Sit back onto your heels. Push the hands away. So I want you to try to get as low to the floor as you can. And you might need to wiggle your knees out a bit wider, so play with it. Play with it, see how you get on. Push those hands away. And just enjoy it. And you're going to be there for another minute or so. Just breathe. Lovely. And then staying on your fronts. I'm going to keep the band, grab your bands, and just take the band over your back, so behind you. And we're going to lift it so it's kind of onto the bottom of your shoulders, and then I want you to hold on to it. And we're just going to come into a little press. So I want you to take your feet out to the edges of your mats. And we're going to hold onto the band at your chest. So bring your hands to your sides and hold the band there. And then put your hands onto the floor, holding onto the band. Yeah? So you've just got the band underneath your hands on the floor. And then we're going to keep our head in neutral, our neck and head in neutral. And we're going to squeeze the elbows in towards the waist. And you're just going to press a little way and lower down. So you've got a little bit of resistance with the band, but I really want you to take your time here. So you're pushing using your triceps, the backs of the arms, to just come up and down. If you've had your breakfast, it might not feel very comfortable. So lift and lower. Lift it, and I know that not everybody likes this movement. So lift and lower, and then hold it there. Hold it there. We're going to take the band overhead. And we're going to take the band and hold it at shoulder width. You might need to adapt it, you might need to adjust it in a minute. So what happens is you're going to keep one arm still, static, and anchored above you. So what happens is you're going to lift up through the chest, you're going to take one arm down towards the hip, bring it slowly back up, hands above you and lower down. Rest there if you need to. We'll have a nice stretch in a minute. So take your time. Lift, hands come off. You need to keep breathing. You can squeeze your bottom so your feet come off as well. Other hand drops down towards the hip in a semicircle. Hands come up, lower down. And adjust the band. If that's too easy, then hold it closer together and then take it. Then you get some more resistance. So hands come up, rest down. Have a good rest there. And a breath. And come down in a semicircle to the top and rest down. I'm just going to look at you, see how you're getting on. So your hand is kind of brushing along the floor. That's it, lovely. Coming right down to the side, to the hip, and then slowly up and lower yourself down after you've done one side. Fabulous. Keep going. Lovely. And then I want you to come into child's pose again. So come back into child's pose, stretching out the back. Try and get those knees wide. Bottom pushes back, chest lowers. Take your head to one side. And then take it to the other side. And then we're going to come onto all fours. And we're going to hump and hollow. Just to relieve that back extension. Actually, we're not going to hollow, we're just going to hump and neutral. So, hands underneath, have your bands close by again. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips. Make sure the weight is through your fingers evenly. Shoulders push away from the ears, and then round the spine. Chin to chest, bottom tucks under, eye gaze towards the knee, through the thighs. Your toes are uncurled. And then come back into neutral. Just breathe. And roll back down. Tuck back under. Breathe. Can you push the spine up a little bit more? Can you let the shoulder blades separate a bit more? Can you tuck the bottom under a bit more? And then to neutral. One more time. Keep breathing. Lovely. Then we're going to come onto the side. So we're going to sit on one side. We're going to have the band under the knees. So, and you're holding the band on the floor under one side. I don't know if this is going to work out. Let's try it. I might ping you in the face, but I'll try it first, okay? It should work in theory. We've done it before. It's a long time. So we're coming up onto the hand. The band is going to come up and over, lower down, lower the hips down, settle. Give it a try. So working, so my weight is through the band on the hand is on the band on the floor. Then you lift the hips, arm comes to wherever you need it to. If you can go all the way over, great. If not, just a little lift. Chris, if you just want to kind of hold it a bit further and just lift a little bit. So you haven't got such a long lever, that's fine. Push up, nice strong push up. Reach over, lovely, and lower down. Keep going. Fabulous. So what are we looking at here? Weight through the wrists, bone loading, weight through the elbow, the shoulder, the knees, the hips, the feet, ankles, and then you're adding resistance. So a whole body movement, resistance and workout. And plus you might get attacked by the dog as you're doing it. Shall we swap sides? So take your feet to the other side and repeat. So flip over. Notice the difference. Is there a difference from one side to the other? Probably. It feels weird this side. So adjust, hand down. Start by just lifting the hips up maybe, and down, up and down. Getting that weight through. That's it. Going with it. Stopping if you need to. So feel some resistance. And then take it over. Slowly back down. Keep going. Fabulous. That's it. Can you do a couple more? Lovely. Fab. And then roll over onto your backs. Hug your knees into your chest just for a minute. And keep your bands by you because you still need them. We're not done with them yet. That's it, give them a hug. Little circle. I love a little knee hug. It's really nice. Side to side, just rolling through the backs. That's it. And then we're going to come into bridge. So lie down and bend the knees, feet onto the floor. And then you're going to pop the band over your hips. Now I do want you to have quite a lot of resistance here because you're pretty good at bridges. So hands come down towards the floor, or just some pressure, just some tension through the hips, the front of the pelvis. And you're going to lift into a bridge whilst pressing the band down towards the floor, and then lower yourself back down as you release the tension through the band. Super slow, big press. Are you even? Are you pushing evenly on your hands? Are your hips lifting evenly, or are you a bit lopsided? How does it feel? Big squeeze at the top and lower. Big squeeze. Use your breath. We're going to hold at the top and we're going to pulse for 8, 7, 5. Squeeze. 3, 2. Lower down and then come straight back up for another pulse for 8, 7, 6. Push away with the hands. 3. Okay, stay up. You're going to let one side relax, squeeze up, let the other side relax. So release the tension in the glutes. So the hips drop on one side, And then really push up in between. Keep going, and then I want 8 more pulses. 8, really high. 5, 4, 3, 2, and lower down. Oh, hug your knees in. Blimey. Breathe. Lovely job. Okay, bands are coming onto your shins. So bands on the shins, legs into tabletop, tension through the band. You're going to lift your shoulders and you're going to do 100. So you count. I trust you. So tiny little presses down on the band. Count. Keep those legs nice and still. Resist the tension. Pull the belly in towards the floor. If your neck hurts, take a look to one side. And then the other side. You're nearly done. Legs parallel. I've lost count, so I'm not going to cheat. I'm going to do another 10. Oh. When you're done, hug your knees in. Blimey. Take your head just from side to side, but just hold it on one side. And then the other side. Fabulous. Little circle of the knees again. One way and then the other. Pop the band over your feet and then just, if you can, just let your legs extend above you. If you just want to do one at a time, that's fine. See how your back is. Actually, let's just do one side. So take one foot in the band, let the other one come down. So just stretching off the hamstrings now. Nice long leg. See if you can bring it a bit closer to your body. And then let's just take it across the body, across the midline, just a couple of inches. Try not to bounce it. Just let that tension go. Take it back to center and then just outside of the body, just a couple of inches. Draw it into your chest a little bit more if you can. And then let's swap legs. So, nice long leg. Other leg straight if you can. And just let that leg come towards you. And it might take a couple of minutes to just fully stretch and relax enough to get that bend, that stretch in the back of the hamstrings, the back of the knee. Keep it nice and still. Just breathe with it. And then we take it across the midline, so across the body, just slightly. If it feels uncomfortable, just stay and just, take it back a little tiny touch if you need to. Just holding it there. It's a really lovely stretch for the hips and groins. And then back to center and then outwards, just out a couple of inches. Lovely. And then bring those feet down. Take your hands overhead. Take your feet away. Big stretch, full body stretch. Relax the elbows, the upper arms onto the floor. Point your toes and release. Point the toes, stretch the fingers away and release. And again, just keep stretching, pushing and releasing. And then we're just going to sit up and come into a back stretch with the bands. So pop the bands over your feet. And just hold, just sit on your sit bones, so sitting upright, forwards. And we're just going to use the band to help us to lean forwards. So it's a fold, it's a hinge from the hip. It's not a fold, it's a hinge. So we're not dropping the head, we're just stretching through the backs of the hips here. So eye gaze, chin is lifted away from the chest, but in neutral. So as I come forwards, my eye gaze is kind of towards my heels. And my shoulders are lifted and opened at the back. They're squeezed together and my chest is open. And just breathe. Add in some gentle pressure, some gentle tension as we pull towards our feet. And then we're going to round through the spine. So drop the chin. Round. Breathe out. Can you get a little closer to your legs? You might not be able to, and that's fine. Breathe into it. And then we're going to let go of the bands. Ping them away. Take those feet wide. Sit back onto the sit bones. We're going to slide our hands down one leg. Again, nice long spine. So chin lifted. And just breathe. Try and keep both sit bones on the floor, because what happens is as you lean to one side you lift up, so really focus on that. And then lower the chin, round the spine, and then let's walk up the legs. Come into the center, walking the hands down on the floor, keeping the long back, long spine to start with. Just stretching through the hips, the backs of the legs. And then let's round. So drop the chin, round through the shoulders. Breathing. Just feeling that stretch. And then walking up. Sliding the hands down the other leg, long spine. Just lowering the head. And rolling up. And just coming into a little rotation, so fingertips, thumbs together, fingers on chin, and just a gentle turn, just slightly. Elbows stay tucked in, which restricts the movement, and come to the front. So relax the shoulders, relax the elbows down. And you really won't be able to go very far if you've relaxed them right down to your sides. To centre, to the side, to centre, to the side. And then make yourselves comfy. So lie down, sit, don't mind. Find a sofa, find a blankie. You're right, bye Chris. And just breathe. Breathe, breathe. I'll give you just some time to settle. I might lie down with you. So, stretch out if you want to. Either have your legs nice and straight, or if your knees are bent, pop your knees together and take the feet wide. It just relaxes the back, the hips. And just take some long, slow breaths in and out. In your own time. Sometimes when we count you in and count you down, it can be a bit stressful because you don't want to breathe that slowly or that quickly. So go in your own time, taking long breaths all the way in. And feel the ribs rise upwards and outwards to the sides, and lowering back down and in. Feel the shoulder blades just melting on each breath out. And adjust the elbows, the hands, the shoulders, the head, so you feel in a neutral position, so you're not uncomfortable. And I want you to feel the weight of your body just dissolving into the floor. So you notice that your body's on the floor, but you also notice that the top half of your body is free and there's no weight through it. Feel that lightness of your body. And then I want you to take your breath down into the belly. So on the next breath, take that breath deep down into the belly. So the belly rises on that breath in. And on the breath out, the belly falls back down. You've got the whole week ahead of you, and you've started it off in just the right way. Just allow yourself time, plan in some time in the week, every day in the week, to do something for you, whether that's exercise or meditation or just sitting quietly. Go and sit in the garden. Wrap up and get some daylight. It's so good for you. And really reset your body clock. Set your circadian rhythm, so if you don't sleep, if you get daylight, your body knows it's day, and then it recognises nighttime and helps you to sleep easier. And you can use time down to energise or to relax, so if you need to rest, you can just talk to yourself in your mind and just allow your body to rest and recover. Or you can use it to gather your energy for the rest of the day. Rest and recuperate, ready to go again. And that self-care, that time for yourself is so important. And sometimes we just need to recognise that we can't do it all. So we prioritise and plan. And then just have a stretch. Take your arms overhead or to the side. And roll over onto your side. Take your time. Push up into seated, however that may be. Roll through your wrists. Let's wake your bodies up a bit. One way and then the other. Roll through the shoulders. Ooh. Just again, take your head from one side to the other. Have a yawn. And give yourself a little round of applause. Well done, team. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you Friday or next week. Take care.